another day of GSC at home. Today we're in my garden. I've actually brought my cup of tea out this morning to enjoy my garden. But it's quite apt that we're outside because today we are going to talk about water. We're going to talk about the water cycle and make our own little garden in a jar. So that's my first question for you. What is water? Well, the scientific formula for water is H2O. And when we break it down, that actually tells us what water's made of. It's a bit strange to think of water being made of something, but it is. It's made of 3 atoms. 2 atoms of hydrogen, that's the H2 part, and 1 atom of oxygen, that's the O part. Now, water is what makes planet Earth unique. The liquid water that we have on our planet means that we have all of this amazing biodiversity around us. If we did not have liquid water, we wouldn't have that. Water is unique in another way. Water can exist on planet Earth in the 3 main states of matter, and not a lot of things can do that. Do you know what the 3 main states of matter are? Yeah, they're solids, liquids, and gases. Now, to understand what that means, we can think about the atoms. So atoms in solid things are really tightly packed together, and it means that they can't move around as much. In liquids, they're a little bit further apart and they have a little bit of movement. In gases, they're a lot further apart and they're moving very freely and very quickly, and that's what makes them different. Now, if we take water as our example, on this planet we have liquid water, which is called water. Yes, that's not a trick question. If we want to turn it into its solid form, which is ice, what do we do to it? Yeah, we freeze it, we lower the temperature, and that changes it into its solid form. If we want to turn it from the solid back into the liquid water, we heat it up, we change the temperature in the other direction, and then we get our liquid water again. Now, if we wanted to turn that liquid water into the gas form of water, which is water vapour, which is an invisible gas, we heat it up again. If we boil it, it starts to evaporate and create that water vapour. So it's the water that makes planet Earth so special. It's fresh water that most of the plant, organisms and human beings on this earth need to thrive. And our planet is covered in water, but 97.5% of that water is salt water in our oceans. So that only leaves 2.5% of all of the water on planet Earth that's fresh water. But even of that 2.5%, we only have access to less than 1% of that. Because most of it might be trapped underwater, and actually our polar ice caps, our North and South Pole, are freshwater glaciers as well. So why don't we run out of water? Well, we're very lucky to live in a part of the world that we do, and we have companies who clean and treat our water so that we can recycle it and use it again. But the Earth has been doing the very same thing for about 4 billion years. We've had the same amount of water on this planet for that whole time, and it changes state and recycles all the time in something called the hydrologic cycle, or the water cycle. And we can go through it and show you how it works. So I want you to imagine that you're looking at a large body of water, be it an ocean or a river or a lake. Now the sun is beating down onto the surface of that water and it's heating it up. So it's changing from its liquid state into its gas state. That is rising up into the air and forming clouds. So that's called condensation. You might know that from on the inside of your car windows in the winter. You get those beads of water that stick to the glass. Now when enough of that forms in the clouds all stick together, they get darker and heavier, and then we get rain, which we're very familiar with here in Scotland. Rain, snow, sleet and hail is part of the water cycle known as precipitation, and that falls back down to the earth and can be used in our rivers, flows back into our lakes, and we can take that up and use it, clean it and treat it and send it back. And then the whole water cycle keeps going forever and ever and ever. There's also another part of the water cycle called transpiration. And transpiration is just how the trees use water in the water cycle. They take it up and they use it to make energy, and they give out oxygen, which we then use to breathe. So a really cool way to explore the water cycle and have a little mini water cycle in your home is by making a terrarium. Now, a terrarium is a little bit like an aquarium, but instead of fish, it's for plants. So this is a little enclosed system that should show you a little mini water cycle of your own. So I've got one here that I made the other day. And inside we have soil and water and the plants as well. Now, you might just be able to see the little bubbles of water on the side of the glass. Now, this is part of our water cycle. This is the condensation part. So we've got the water in the soil. It's using the heat through the glass from the sun. It's evaporating that water, which is then condensing on the side of the glass. Once there's enough water on the side of the glass, it will drip back down into the soil to be reused again by the plants. So we have a little mini water cycle right here in a jar. So we can make our own at home. Let's give it a try. So now that we're back inside, we can collect all of our materials that we are going to need to build our own terrarium. Now, to start off with, we are going to need a container or a jar of some sort. You saw mine earlier on, it was quite small, but you can use whatever size you like, whatever you've got lying around the house. You can use an old jam jar. What I've got is a container that I used to have a candle in that I've washed out. I've also got some bigger containers as well. So it really doesn't matter, you can use whatever size you like. You're also going to need some plants. Now, I have a huge variety of plants here now. Don't worry, you are not going to need that many. What I tried to find was plants that were of the same kind of variety, and that means they require the same amount of water. So I tried to find some succulents, cactuses worked really well too, and I also tried to find some different colours and shapes that would add variety to my terrarium. You can also try adding some seeds in as well if you like, but just remember when you're planting them, you need to give them a little bit of space to grow. You're also going to need, of course, some soil. You're going to need some stones, and then whatever decorations you like. I have some moss and some shells, some little flowers. You can use some little figures that you have lying around, some animals, maybe even some dinosaurs. It's about your imagination. You can let it run wild and see what you come up with. So I'm going to give it a go now. I'm going to build my own terrarium in the large jar, just so it's a bit easier for you guys to see what I'm doing, and then we'll see what I come up with. So let's give it a go. So I'm starting out with a layer of stones and then a nice thick layer of soil to plant into. The next part is to add your plants. Now this part is completely up to you, it's however you want it to look. I've tried to go for different shapes, colours and height to give a bit of variety. So the next thing you want to do is add any of your decorations. Your moss, your animals, your dinosaurs, whatever it is that you like, and then you just pop the lid on and that's you, you're done. So well done, you have now created your own terrarium and little water cycle in a jar. Now I've left mine sitting for a couple of minutes and you can already see that it started to create a mist on the inside of the jar. So that lets me know that I've got enough water in there. It might be a little bit of trial and error for you to get the right amount of water, but keep at it and I'm sure you'll do just great. So thank you for tuning in to GSC at Home today. Hope you had fun with us. Send us pictures of your creations, try different sizes and shapes of container, use different plants and let us know which ones do best in your home. You can leave any questions in the comments below and we'll try our best to answer them for you. But if not, head off, enjoy the rest of your day and we'll see you soon.